congratulations. I really enjoyed the show. How do you begin to approach a travel show and make it not like any other travel show you've seen before?
Mainly by not watching other travel shows, because I used to take the same approach when I started writing, say, columns for car magazines. I immediately stopped reading other people's, because that way I wouldn't be prejudiced or steered or anything like that. So I suppose we go and we do it as if we were going on our own little adventure, but we film it as well, and we reveal, I hope, some of the warts and some of the sort of painful human reality of simply trying to make your way around an unknown country.
Amazing. I read a really good interview with you on your last series that you said that you like to approach a country like you're an ingenue, but you've been to India before. How did you approach that, going to India?
Well, I have been to India before, but I hadn't been for a while, and it's very big, and it's very varied, and I don't think you can learn it easy. I don't think you can learn any country easily. People imagine that they go, even if they go for 6 months to work somewhere, they come back saying, "Oh, I'm so steeped in the culture of the Middle East or India or whatever," but you're not really. I think you're always a bit of an outsider, and I think that's what makes it interesting. Not fitting is a little stimulus.
Absolutely. And what is it about India that attracted you to go over there?
Well, I suppose, I like it. It's a good adventure, but also, it's partly places that Amazon think they would like us to go, so we always have a short list, and it's also something that's going to look exciting and a bit different to our core viewership, which I suppose is European and American. Amazon is big in India, and if you're Indian and watching India, it's not a surprise, obviously, because you live there, but it might be a surprise to see what a bloke from Britain makes of it, hopefully. And we hope we got it roughly right.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you go to different places that I hadn't even heard of as well. How did you whittle down what parts of India, because it's so vast and so big?
Yeah, well, because it's only a 3-parter, and you can't do a whole country, even a small one, in 3 parts of less than an hour. So we will do this if we're ever commissioned to make any more. We choose a route, so it's a literal journey, but one that we hope will, like I said in an opening piece to camera, it will embrace a lot of the sort of essential elements of an Indian experience, whilst acknowledging that it's not the whole thing. So the way we did sea to sea, because that's sort of neat, and it's got the busy bits, it's got the deserty bits, it's got the villagey bits where Gandhi said the soul of India lives, and it's got the wildlife bit and the art bit. So we try to get all the bits in, and that sort of dictates the route. And it's why it's not like that. It sort of goes like that a bit, and then up and then down. I've done that back to front because of the camera. It needs to go like that. There you go, down to the Sundarbans. So it's dictated by expediency, variety, and, to be honest, a bit of what I fancy.
Amazing. Was there any places that you wish that you could have gone that you couldn't get to go on this journey?
Well, yeah, I think it would have been nice to do more of the south, because whenever you're in the north of India, people always go, but it's not like that in the south. It's very different. But that would have made it so enormously long and too spread out. And I sort of think India, if people like it, you could do it again, because if you then did something across the bottom of India, or maybe a north to southy or south to north type trip, you could you discover a load of fresh, different stuff. I think you could probably keep going back. There's that old cliche about India that when you're there, it all seems a bit too much because it's all quite hectic. But as soon as you've left, you want to go back again, and there is something in that.
Would you ever take the series back and be like, I want to go and do that kind of journey?
If I were allowed to, ask that a lot over there.
Hint at Amazon.
Write them a letter or an email.
What I really enjoyed about this series is that you don't just cover like the glamorous aspects of India. You do go visit like some of the poorer sides and the slums, because you don't really call it a slum because it has its own vibrancy. How important was that to you, and how?
Well, I think it's very easy to be a traveller or just a holiday maker and go to a country that does have a lot of hardship. India definitely does. All countries do if you look for it. And ignore that and stay in the very nice hotel and have a very cherry-picked cultural experience. So you're eating fantastic food and staying in a very, very nice place with excellent service. And obviously, the whole place can't be like that. Nowhere is. So I think if you're going to be honest about it, but without straying into indulging in sort of, what do they call it, poverty porn or any of those things, you should try and see the lot. It's a tricky question because obviously I live in Britain and I live quite comfortably. There's no denying it. I don't deliberately go off and try being homeless, say, or going and living on a violent estate, because that's part of the experience of being British. I don't do that. But since I'm making an effort to learn about India, and it is like the so-called slum of Mumbai, which is a really, really negative term for us. As soon as you think of the Victorians and children with fly-borne diseases and so on. But actually, it's a bit of a badge of office for them. They call it, it's not irony, but they sort of rather rejoice in calling it the slum because that's how it's known. But actually, they love it for that because it all actually works very well, despite its obvious problems. Infrastructurally, it's lacking, but in terms of spirit, it's great.
Amazing. And I hate to do this segue, but speaking about the Victorians and India
Yes.
and coming over as a Briton, how do you kind of manage the kind of history that we have there and also the cultural appropriation kind of side of exploring India?
Well, the history bit, I know everybody gets very nervous about it, but my impression is that the vast majority of people don't really care. They're busy getting on with having a nice life, just like everybody else is in the world. I think, liberals and people who intellectualise it would want to get hung up. Aditi's always having a go at me about it, but she's doing that just to bait me because I'm British. I don't think it bothers that many people. And cultural appropriation, my view on that is that misappropriation is a bad thing. I don't like seeing sort of Europeans go to countries like India or Japan or bits of Africa and trying to sort of be like the locals and dress up like them and all that sort of thing, because I find that a bit cringy. But bits of other people's cultures are assimilated into ours and vice versa. It happens at home and it happens whilst you're there. I mean, how could it not? It's not misappropriation. It is
Appreciation.
It is appreciation and adaptation, if you like. Because where would you call an end to it? The business suit, to take a really crude example, that's a sort of European, actually largely British invention, the lounge suit. The whole world wears it now. Is that misappropriation? Or is it just a sensible bit of clothing? Probably the latter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was thinking about this on the way in because I was wearing my paisley scarf and I was like, actually, that is a print from India that's come over. So would that also be classed as cultural appropriation?
I don't think it would, because most people wouldn't know that. But yes, that's been around for a very long time and came from the subcontinent and thereabouts. So, and lots of things we do in food. Obviously, there's a legacy of. I know the old joke is that Britain traded spices with the world but never used them. That's not quite true. But think of the influence in my lifetime that things like Indian cooking and Indian fashions have had on the way British people eat, dress, the things they have in their larders. It's enormous. But it's not misappropriation. It's all done very gladly.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. It's a really great series. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys!
Hey